Is my screen is visible, everyone? Perfect, perfect. Thank you. Thank you very much. So let's let's do start and see what we have discussed in the last session. So it's in part to the second session where we're going to discuss about what are the activities, what are the tools and technologies involved whenever we talk about designing the security for an organizations, right? So, as per in the previous session, we have discussed some, a very general topic like how the team are there, what are different teams are like endpoint security team, network security team. We have discussed about the SOC operation team. We have discussed about some IT help desk and so on. The several department where we have discussed, right? Now, as we know, like whenever we talk about in IT, there are the several team are there. So these team can be considered as a system team. That can be as the network team. We have the team like endpoint security team. We can see that network security team. There is a team called as an information security team. We have security operations center, the SOC analyst, where they've been working. We have some of developers like application developers. We can see that we have database team. We can see IT help desk. We have some other cloud team, we virtualization team, we have vulnerability assessment team, identity access management team, and so on. These are the certain team where we can see that, and they have certain rules and responsibilities. What are the activities are there? So what tasks they performing? So I would like to just take you towards that. So if I talk about the system team or the server team, basically they're taking care of all the endpoints that can be related to your computers. It can be your desktops, laptops. It can be any operating systems problem if they get it. So they maintain all the operating systems that are related to the Mac, or it can be Linux, or it can be the Windows machine, right? Also the applications. So installing the necessary applications which is required in order to do certain tasks, certain operations, right? So there are certain team are there. They have a different departments where they're working on it. So what these tools can help them, what are the areas are there where they have to work on it. So this is how it can be they required to install all the tools. What are the setups they required. So they are into taking care of that, as well as they are installing and configuring, maintaining the different servers. So that can be a email server, that can be a database servers, that can be considered as a file server, and so on. So they are into taking care of these areas here. Now what next? We have network team. So when I talk about the network team, so the network team which are there into the designing the entire network architecture. So they take care of different network components, right? Now, what are these network components are there? How they can be used? What are the topologies are used? What type of network we use? How are we going to separate that? What are the compliance requirements are there in order to maintain these network equipments? As well as they are into taking care of service availabilities. They are into taking care of the fault management system. If anything goes wrong, like immediately they can be able to respond to those network troubleshooting issues. So this is how the network they design. So while they design this network, so there are several things are there, they that can be the wide network, that can be the wireless network, that can be an access point. They use the network cables, switches, routers. There are several network device components are there. That can be the cloud base, that can be the physical devices, and so on. So in order to design this network, maintain the network, see all the availability of this network, this is how the network components can be get designed. All right. So the network architecture, and the maintain this network by the network team. Now comes to the security. Now, if I talk about the security, the first most important thing is that the endpoint security. So as we know, like the endpoint security team, which have been taking care of all the endpoints in the corporate network. So endpoints are nothing but the user machines that can be workstations. It can be the Windows based, Linux based, Mac based, right? It can be the servers. It can be any digital asset, It can be any digital asset that connect to the corporate network that can be considered as endpoints. So they install, they configure, they maintain all the endpoint security solutions. So this can be antivirus, there can be a host-based firewalls, that can be like, we have like prevention systems, hood-based prevention system, they have it. Disk encryptions, data loss preventions method, like EDRs, we call as endpoint detections response. So there are like, the several vendors are there. There are the several like, process are there where they've been using this here. Now, if I talk about the DLP, now what is the DLP here? So that is called as a data loss prevention method, right? Now, there are the several vendors are there when we talk about the DLP process here. So, for example, if I'll say you the sum of the DLP vendors, so let me just give you an idea about that. All right. So here we can go ahead and see that if I talk about the DLP vendors, that can be anything like, if you can see that, that can be considered as like force point. We have like, force point DLP, endpoint protections. We can see the digital guardians. We can see like, semantic DLP, like, that can be a Microsoft DLP, that can be like, McAfee and so on. So there is huge, like, the vendors are there which provide the services where these tool integrations can happen. So these tool integrations are nothing but which is used in order to see how the DLP technology can be used. EDRs, no. How many of you know about the EDRs? Have you heard anything about the EDRs? Ilyas, MF, Khalid, Ziyahat, anyone? Have you heard anything about the EDRs? Yes. So what is that? So EDRs are nothing but it can be considered as next generation antivirus, right? It's a next generation antivirus. It's an advanced like malware detection process where we can see that. So they are into like giving a report on different type of malware, known, unknown, and so on. So this is our that an addition can be used in order to protect the endpoints here. Now, as we protect the endpoints, that need of to be protect the network as well, right? Or else the network also may face an attack. There are the several attacks happens on the network as well. Do you agree or not, everybody? Yes.
Yes.
So if I'll give you an example, let's see that how the network attack may happens. Let me just give you an example. Just give me 1 minute. Okay, I'm just launching my one machine here. Okay. So the network need to be get protected because network is also a very crucial point, like whenever we talk about it, because they are the different type of attacks happens on the network. So that need to be get protect here. If we not protect the network again, there is like the attack patterns may happens, and that need to be get like a very difficult situation because the attackers may enters, they can initiate different packet captures, packet hijack attacks, ARP spoof attack, and so on. Like there is a list of an attacks which can be there, and that need to be get like secure by the network security tools here. So here, as if I'll show you some about my network. So as we have connected to the network, so here we'll see that like what are the traffic, how the traffic can be there, like what type of informations are there. So let's understand that. So let me just connect. So here I'm just trying to show you like there are the different type of attack patterns can be there, if we can see that here. So these attack patterns can be for the proxy, that can be for proxy servers, that can be for the ARP spoofing, they are be for the DSCP. There are many things are there here, right? So I'll just do something here. So I'll show you that something about how this network informations can be gathered. Now here you can see that if I use certain commands here or certain tools here which is are built with my Linux machine, I can gather some of the informations here. So what is this information is about it? Now here you can see that I can be able to see there are the different endpoints here. So let me just give you some example here, something like that. So here we can see that the IP addresses, we can see the MAC addresses over my network. So what are the devices are connected over my network, and we can see that the vendor of that. Now if I want to attack on these network, let's say that if I'm trying to attack on my Windows machine, so I can use a ARP spoofing. So how that can be used, here you can see that. So we can do this attack on using certain tools here, right? So I can set my target, what is my target here. So what are the target systems are there, how that it can be work on it. So let me make it something here to get you understand, instead of just explaining you internally. So I'll just show you something. So I'll make the conditions true here. uh, Let me set my target dot targets. Now when I talk about the target, which is the target, let me see that this one 0173 here. Okay, so let me consider this is as a target. So what I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna define that target here. So no, ARP dot on. Now here net dot sniff on, and here you can see that as I have done, I can be able to see some informations about this desktop, right? Can you see that here, the username here, everyone? Are you able to see that?
Yes.
Now, what I'm gonna do it, I'm just going to launch any application here. Let's see that. I'll go to the one of the application here. Let me go to this application. So whatever I'm doing the transaction here, if you can see that all the informations have been grabbing here, right? So attack happens in different manner here, right? Whenever we talk about it. So if I'm going to let's see that some of the banking application here. So if I click on these banking application, if I'm trying to give a request for that, or if I'm going to some of I'm just giving some idea here to get you understand what are the traffic, what are the patterns are there. So whatever the request we send it, so here they grab those requests here. So informations can be grabbed in a several manner here, and these information can be probed by an attacker. These are the possibilities are there where the attack may initiate it, and user may think about what are the integrations are there, what are the user websites are there, which URL they are going it, so what server they getting connect. So there is, if we'll see that in fact there are the several informations are there here. Now these attacks which is take place, it is give the different information here. Now the different information is about what is your address here. So here if you can see that, if I'll show you something. Now what is this, guys? 192.168.0.1. Are you able to see this? What does it mean by that? It's an internet address, right? Yes or no? Are you getting my point, everyone? Are you able to see this? Yes. So what I want you to understand that if we have these internet address, actually, if you can see that here, if I launch another browser here, let me show you that here. If I type if config ets0, here if you can see that the MAC address. Can you see the MAC address of this 00O0 OC, like 0000C299E8CCC here, right? So it means like if we'll see this information here, whenever we are seeing this information that related to that related to this system, so here we have these as a MAC address my Kali machine. But if I'm saying that on my Windows machine also, if I'll see that this is the MAC address which is matching with the same thing here. Can you see that here? 00OC299E8CCC. Are you able to see this, everybody? Yes? Agree? Tell me yes if it is you're agree with that. Is that everyone? Now what I want you to understand, it's a very simple. I don't want to make it more complicated. See, there is an attack happen to this network device. Now as soon as I stop this attack, see, I suspended this attack here. So once I stop this attack here, in this case, what happens? Now, in this case, if I'll go back here and see that, so still is 00C299E8CCC, which is not real one. Now, if I'll do this command again, now at this point, if you see this address, it comes to the constant here, right? It's going to become in a constant here. So let me just close and rejoin this again. So let me put this command prompt again, and here I'm gonna type again ARP hyphen. Now here you can see that 192.168.0.1 is F0B4D2. This is actual MAC address. But before if we see that, so if we initiated that attack, at that time the MAC address has got changed to something called as this one, like 00. We can see that the 000C299E8CCC. This was, it got changes here, right? Now why this has happened? Because there was some attack happens to the network here. So attack happens in a several manner here. So that is the reason the security for our network is very important. We need to secure our network at any cost. Like we have to see that what type of activities happens, what type of processes happens. So that need to be checked. That need to be understand about the system, the method, whatever we talk about it. So how does it works? What are the things is happening? So that informations we need to carry over here. Okay. So let me just close this and let's go back to the process here. Okay, power of this. Yes. Okay. So here we can show that. Now, the network security, if I talk about it, which is again very important part. So protecting the overall the network, that installing, configuring, maintaining the network security solutions like firewalls. We are maintaining intrusion prevention system. We are maintaining web gateways, email gateways. We required to be have like wireless securities. We should be have web services for the application security. We call as a web applications firewalls, which is again some of very important concept in order to maintain the security of an assets. Okay, so these are the technology we're going to get in hands on this experience, how it works and what we can do it, how we can protect. So we're going to discuss that in detail, okay, in the coming sessions. So if I talk about the information security, we know very well they are into taking care of conducting the regular audit. They are into drafting the different security policies. It based on internal and external. They use the awareness training. They are into adherence to the regularities, compliance. They are into actually the GRC, we call it the governance, risk and compliance. Put that into the process management, strategy management, control activities. They are into the audit system. They are into the risk management. See, they are into performance management. This is how where they're going to be work on it. Now we have the vulnerability assessment team. The vulnerability assessment team are nothing but which use automated tool to scan the network to identify any vulnerabilities that are there in the application, or it can be there in the system. So what type of vulnerabilities can be there? So there is an automated tools are there. They're gonna scan. They're gonna get this report, and these report need to be get analyzed. The report need to be analyzed. Work with the various team to fix these vulnerabilities, and the process of fixing these vulnerabilities is called as a patch management, which continuously going to be happens in the organizations, because they need to find the vulnerabilities, they need to fix those, they need to take an actions on those vulnerabilities. So there are several, the services are there are the several devices are there, they need to check about those vulnerabilities. So we have vulnerability assessment team. Then the identity access management team. So identity access management team, which are there into creating different identification access rights to the people, rule based assigning, what are the tasks they have it, how those customers can work, what are the activities they do it. So they create and manage the identity access rights of people, to the employees, customers, what are the things are there. So IAM team is identity access management tools, which are taking care of the user accounts, they are into taking care of the password reset, they are into taking care of different granting and access. So what level of access should be there, how long the access should be keep, so those all things can be taken care by the IAM team. Then comes to the SOC team. So as we know very well, the SOC team are there to monitor, they detect, the investigation on all detections alert, they're going to respond to the cyber threat. So what they're going to detect? They're going to detect the different type of alerts. So alert, it means like, let's imagine a situation. Uh, I want you to take an example here. So here, let's see that this is our Splunk here, right? Now I'm going to talk about something alerts here, right? So how does this alerts can be work? What are the activities happens? So here, if I can see that here we have a triggered alert. Now if I click on this triggered alert, I can be able to see certain severities here. So what type of severity alert happens? What type of the time, alert name, applications, what is type, what is mode, action, everything. So the severity levels can be like low, medium, high, critical. So there are the different type of alerts are there that need to be get reported here. So they're going to see that what are those security risks are there. So example, if I'll say that I have one alert system, right? I have created one alert here. So what I'm going to do it, I'll just take you to that alert and show you how those alert can be detected here. So if I click on these alerts, now if I click on this part here, you can see that. So here we have action, right? If I click on this action here, so how this works here, every day, every hours, every minute, what is the schedule about it. So when it is going to be get start this alert, how those alert can give the notification, what are actions we need to take it, is that if anything happens, is that we need to send an email, or we run script, or it can be any webhook we have it, or it can be any event or triggered things we have to do it. So here we are saying that triggered an alert, so alert should be generated. And what is the severity of these alert? It can be the critical, high, medium, low, it depends upon the criticalities of those devices where these alerts can be give us it. So when I say that, the alert will be generated in this manner, and we're gonna see these alerts. So as if now, what I'm gonna do it, I'll take you to the example, one of the alert that into the another rapid another tool that's called as a rapid 7, where I can show you some live alerts here. So we as a SOC analyst going to work here and going to see this these alerts, from where it is happening, how those alerts notifications can be there, what are the systems are there, what type of attack patterns is happening, just to get you, just to make you unaware about that. Okay. So can anybody tell me that how many alerts you can see on the screen? How many alerts are there? Yes, please. There's 62 low alerts, right? So you can see that there are 62 low alerts, 13 as in high alerts, total 75 investigations are there. There are 12 investigations new are there. Now if I click on these high investigations, see, if I click on this, so if I click on this is my sim tool, okay, where the SOC team have been working. So here you can see that it gives us the report about there is some malicious activities happen, there's some login failure happens. You can see that there are the multiple login failure happens to some accounts here. Now what is that account? How we get to know that? If I click on this process, like this is some endpoint will be there here. So here we have a evidence. If I click on this evidence, I can be able to see the particular desktop here. I can be see that like a failed bad password. I can see the event code as a 4625. Like there are several informations where I can be able to see about these endpoint here. The similar way, if I'll talk about it, all some other alerts as well. So if I'll say the malicious here. Now here there is a malicious activities happens and who's this belongs to. So what is this malicious alert is about it? So created by an SOC team. Okay, you have added any no data for clicking the exposure of these data here. So it means like still this is not decided yet, but there is something is happening and ticket is working on that. So I can't open that for the working and automated process. So this is just I want you to understand, guys. Suspicious process we got it, malicious hash we got it, login failure we have it. So there are the different alerts are there that can be critical, high, low, medium, and so on. So that alert need to be get investigated by the SOC team. So we as a SOC analyst work 24 by 7 365 days and will detect these alert and will take an action. So what are those actions are there here? So how we need to understand those actions here? So custom login success undecided here, there are many alerts are there which you can see that it's generated here. So if I click on these systems, so it says that particular machine has got login here. Now what does that machine have login here? So I can see that the information here. So successful login happens, this user Wahid Khan, if you can see that the username is Wahid Khan, and here you can see that is a success, and here we can see that 4624, the event code is a 4624 means success login. We can see that 4625 is a login failure. Like these, as a security analyst, if you are working, we're going to analyze these alert here. We're going to monitor, detect, investigate, and respond to the cyber threat. This is how we are going to do it. So we work with the different SMEs, different subject matter expert team for other team to remediate the security incident if it is taken place. We as in SOC analysts work on the same tools SOAR, security architect, automation response, threat intelligence, as well as analysis tool. So this is at the list of tools where we're going to work on it. Okay. Now, the SOC is a centralized team which can be like system, network, endpoint, network security, vulnerability assessment team, IM team, entire systems where the SOC team are going to monitor. So they are 24 by 7, 365 days. They're going to monitor these activities. They'll see what tasks they're performing here. That's how it's going to be work. Now, how the evolution of SOC happens. So I just want to give you some a use case here, why the SOC came, what is the reason of that. So I would like to take you with an example here. In the past 2008 and 2010, there was a malware called as a Stuxnet, which is designed in order to destroy the nuclear power plant for the Irans. So this can be considered the first cyber weapon. So in the year of 2008 2010, these weapon is created, but when we are doing this big project, even though there is less chance of security, there was no dedicated monitoring for the security purpose. There's not a critical resources should be taken place. If anything goes wrong, there were no team to take care of that. That was a major problem here, they faced. Now the Stuxnet was considered as sub first cyber weapon and they have injected here, but nobody is there to detect on that. That is one of the root cause here when you can see that this is a one of the problem. Now the next thing, there are many attacks happens in the past. Sony have faced an attack, that is a guardians of peace, the attacker's name was there, so they released the confidential data from film studio Sony Pictures. So this is all about my use cases to get you understand about how this is happens. So this is all about the use cases when these Sony Picture have seen attack. So Sony picture have faced an attack, but nobody was there. Like, nobody was there to detect about these attack, why it is happened, from where it is happened, what to do with this attack. So that was like, not only one organization, there are the several organizations, they have faced these type of challenges here. So if we can see that the Sony pictures, like, November 24, 2014, the hacker group called as Guardians of Peace, they released confidential data from film studio Sony Picture, and these data include the employees emails, personal data, film, family information, executive salaries, unreleased films, future films plans, what are their different screenplays, and also the informations about employees, their salaries, and so on. During hack, they have taken, almost huge data. That is the big problem for these organizations, right? This is one of the use case. So if I talk about all these use cases, this is all about the attacks, right? So Sony faced an attack in the year of 2014. The same way, there is, Yahoo have faced an attack in 2013 and 2014. Then if I talk about, Visa cards have faced an attack, Subway faced an attack, Target faced an attack. So these are the very huge top MNCs where they have faced an attack. Then everybody is worried about, who's safe on the internet when this attack is happening, how we can get secure on that. So they started doing some use case here. Now what is that use case means? The use case which says that they started finding why this attack is happening. So what they got to know that if the attack take place, it takes the company to get detect almost nearly 200 days, like 6 to 7 months, for the company to detect an attack. This is one of the root cause. The second thing is that attackers will give a notifications 3 months before there is something is going to be happen. Some indication is going to be happen, but nobody is there to notice those indications. And 70% of time the attackers are detected by an external entity. 70% of time the attackers are detected by an external entity means somebody from outside are going to report about that there is something happens, which is a very bad condition here. Okay, if I ask you one question, right, I want you to just imagine here, guys. Let's imagine a situation. There is some illegal transactions happens on your account. What are you gonna do it in that case? On your bank account, there is some illegal transaction happen. So what would be the first step? What you gonna do it? Unauthorized transactions happens to your account. What are you gonna do it?
We will inform to notify to the bank to stop our
Mm-hmm.
transaction or whatever. For example, if it is block the credit card, debit card, whatever the way they are trying, or at least seize our account for the time being.
Yeah. So it means like we are calling the bank, right? Whatever the activity, we're going to report them, right? Hey, we got some, illegal transactions on my account. I have not done that, and it's not authorized by me. But how it happens, I don't know. I want to investigate on this, and I want to block these services, right? Agree or not, everybody? Yes. So what we are doing it here, we are the first point of contact here, right? We are the first point of contact to the bank and informing that there is something is going on here, there is some attack is going on, I want to see that. So we are the external entity, we are not the bank department people, we are not there from the security department, we are just an external team. We are informing that there is something going wrong, I need to be taken actions here, I want to see that, like, what is going on there. Then they started finding the root cause, they're standing find out, through which channel these transactions has taken place and so on. So that is called as the attack is detected by an external entity. This is one of the use case. Okay, now let's see that. If I'll say you this map, attack happens in the month of April, they executed in the month of April, and it is detected in the month of November. So April to November the attacker was there in the system, so that is very bad. So it means like there is some unnoticed indications. There is some indicators are there. The attackers have given certain points, some indications, but nobody there to detect this. So with this, we got to know that the root cause analysis says that there is a lack of visibility. So we don't know what is happening on a network, on endpoint, or applications, or any services. So we need to be have a visibility to our system. So what is that? We should have security monitoring services here. So SOC comes here. So there is a dedicated team which are going to monitor everything what is happening on these assets here. So it means like we should monitor logs. Logs are nothing but which give you the occurrence that happens on the device. So these logs are generated from the several devices like systems, servers, security solutions, network devices, endpoints, and so on. So these logs are sent to the SIM tool. But why it's sending to the SIM tool? Because the logs are not standard. They're not easy to read. If we can see that, they are very complex, right? The informations what is there in the log, the raw data if we are getting, we're not able to understand that what is there in that. So this is like web application log. This is Linux logs. This is Windows logs. So means like logs are not in a same or standard format. Every in very simple way, every device has its own syntax. Do you agree with that, my point, guys? Mac machine will create a log based on the Mac format, their syntax. Windows have their own syntax. Smart device have their own syntax. If I talk about Linux machine have their own syntax. So these logs are not similar. Do you agree, everybody? Yes or no? Just say yes in the chat, everyone. MF, Khalid, Abdullah, everyone. Yes. Yes, if you're connected with me, just you have to reply me. Okay, I understand. Thank you. Thank you very much. So it means like the logs are not standard. It's not readable for us, right? We can't understand what is there in that. So they are not easy to read. They are very difficult, and there is a huge in the volume as well. It depends upon the asset list. Example, I'm giving you 25 million logs per day, 300 logs per second. So that's a huge here. So, what is the problem? The problem logs are not standard. For that, we have SIM solution. The SIM is nothing but we call as a security informations and event management. Security informations and event management, which collect the data from multiple sources. So it means like SIM, what does do it? It collect the data from multiple sources to the SIM tool, and SIM is going to give us the suspicious activity. Something is going wrong, we can be able to see that here. This is how it's happened. So SIM collect the data from multiple sources and that sends to the SIM, and SIM is going to give us that yes, something is going wrong. So how does it happens? So here we can see that the problem what we got to know that the logs are not easy to read, the solutions we got the SIM. But the important thing is that how the SIM is going to be get implement. Why the team is going to be ready to get implement these SIM solutions. It's similar like in a use case, I'll tell you. If I'll tell you an example in a real life analogy, what you can see this in picture, guys, in real life analogy, if I can see that. So here we can see that the person who's driving a bike is not wearing the helmet, and this may lead his life to be a dangerous. So the root cause is that he's not wearing the helmet. The solution is that he should wear the helmet. It's similar like the traffic signals, or if I talk about like maintaining the speed, or whatever we have it. So whenever we talk about this, the people will never follow the rules without any enforcement, right? Rules enforcement should be there. There should be required a fine if you're not following the rules. Then only the people are going to follow that rules. Yes or no? If we request the people to wear the seat belt, follow the signals, don't jump the signals, maintain the speed, is that the people are going to follow only on the request? If you request the people to follow the rules, do you think like it's going to be happen? Obviously no, right? It's not going to be happen until unless it not been a rule enforcement. So it means like in a real force, if I talk about, there is in a different department we have in India we call as the RTO, in USA we call the Department of Motor Vehicles, in UK we call them as driving and vehicle license agency. This is what we call it. So it means like If you not follow the rules, you're going to get the fine. This is a very important. Then the people are forced to follow that rules. That's a very important here. So here we can see that when I talk about this system, when I talk about the process here, if you not follow the rules, then you're going to put the fine here. So then the people follow. So that is related to the cyber security. If I talk about the rules enforcement in cyber security, there are the regularity compliance that will be called as, like, industry best practice team are there, which are going to monitor the entire security policies like PCI DSS, GDPR, HIPAA. So they made the security monitoring are mandatory here. So they monitor everything what is happens on these assets here. So that is need to be, like, implement for the entire securities. So when you build the security standard, so they need to follow that. The person who work on the same, like, it's called as a SOC environment, and the people which are there under that is called as a SOC analyst. I believe it's clear to everybody till here. Yes or no? Is that clear, everyone? Do you have any doubt? If you have any doubt, please feel free to ask me.
Yeah, can you please repeat the last wordings? Who will be the SOC analyst
See, I'll
and what
I'll
are the other one?
okay. See, the person who work, like, under the SOC is called the security analyst, SOC analyst, right? And where we use the SIM tools. So SOC environment are nothing but a platform. It's a centralized system where we're going to use the SIM tools and collect the data from multiple log sources here. The multiple assets are there which we are going to monitor. That is we call it the SOC environment, okay? Security operations center. And the person who work in the SOC environment is called the SOC analyst. Got it?
Yeah, clear. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, so that's all for today's session, guys. Thank you very much for listening me, getting tuned for this session. So next session we're going to have on Monday. So till that, take care. Happy weekend. See you on Monday with new topic. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Can we get the video recording or something?
Yeah, sure, sure. You'll get that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.